Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah, Muhammad bin Abdullah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala wa ba'd. Good evening, my listeners. So I still remain my humble self, AKOREDEOLUWAYINKAHASSAN at Source Academic Online Class. Today, inshallah, we are going to be treating linear inequality in one variable. So let me start breaking this topic in order to see the clearer picture of what the topic is all it is about. So now let me pick this one. In one variable, mean variables as far as mass is concerned mean ABC. So ABC we can find coupled with a number arranged in what? In a particular expression or equation. We call them what? We call them variables. Now let's check this particular question. Let's look at this question. What are the variables that we can see here? The only variable that we can see here is x. This one is number. This other one is number. This one also is number. Are we? So we have only how many variables here? One variable. That is why it is termed as what? One variable. Now let's go to linear. The word linear here means that check the only variable that is here. What is it having as a power here? Is having what? A power of 1. So when it's having a power of 1 like that, so we call it what? Linear. If it is 2 that is having as the power here, if it is 2 that is having as the power here, it is no more linear. It has become what? Quadratic inequality. But since it is not 2 that is there, the power here, there is invisible one. Let me write it out. There, signifying that there is 1 here. That means we are going to be having how many answers here? Only one answer. So this particular power signifies what? That the what? This is a linear what? Linear question. Now I've explained what is linear question. Now I've explained what is one variable. Now let's go to the inequalities. Check this particular question. What is the sign of inequalities you can see here? This is the sign of inequalities that you can see here. So let's join them together. The power here signifies 1, representing linear. Now the middle one signify this sign signify what? Inequality. Are we together? So then how many variables are we having here? I mean, how many ABC are we having as far as this question is concerned? We have only one what? One x. Are we together? So let's join them. 1x with the sign here, and that 1x, it is only 1. That is why this is termed as what? Linear inequality in one variable. Is that noted? Now, what are the likely questions they can ask us to solve here? According to the question, we are asked to what? Solve the inequality. The inequality that we want to solve here, we want to determine the value of what here? The value of x here. That is what we want to determine here. So we want to determine the value of s. So what can we do in order to determine the value of s? And so this one that you are seeing like this, we have different inequality sign. We have the less than, greater than, less or equals to, greater or what? Equals to. These are the signs. If you can check this question, what are we seeing there? We are seeing less or equals to as the sign here. This signifies 2 things. Please let's take note of that before we start solving the question. What does this signify? This signifies that this one, when we are graphing it, we must be using what? A solid what? Solid line. Are we? And this also signifies that when we are graphing it, we must be using what? Solid line. We are still coming to that, but take note of that. And another thing that this signifies, where are we going to use that? I will let you know, but please take note of that. And another thing, these two signifies that what? They are what? They are what type of circle? We have 2 circles. We have the open one and we have the what? Closed one. This one, whenever you are seeing less or equals to, greater or equals to, that signifies that they are what? They are closed circle. What do I mean by closed circle? That means the answer that we are going to be getting from this now, from this particular question, is also part of the what? Part of the answers that this like a question will likely bring as correct options there. So that means the end point that we are going to get here, the root that we are going to get here, is also included amongst the what? Amongst the answer. Are we together? So let's take note of that. Now this is a closed circle. So that means the what we get as the end point is included. Is part of the answer. That is it in summary. Now this one, we make use of what type of line? We make use of dashed line. Dashed what? Line. In some texts, they call it dotted what? Dotted line. They call it dotted line. So, and what this is the line, type of line that we are going to be using as far as this two is concerned. This is the type of line that we are going to be using as far as this is concerned. The type of circle that we are going to be using here is open circle. Open what? Open circle. And why do they call it open circle? Meaning the root that we get, the end point that we get from this particular expression, if there is not equal sign here, the end point that we are going to be getting here is not part of the answer. It is not included in the answer. Are we together? So let's take note of that, and I'll tell you how we are going to be using that. Is that noted? So now let's try and solve this. The first thing we need to do here, you count this inequality sign, you count it as equals to when you are solving this question. You count it as what? Equals to. This one that I stated earlier, we are still going to make use of it. But let's just come and follow it gently. It is very what? Easy. So the next thing I'll do now is that we will firstly find the value of x. How do we find the value of x? By what? What are we having here? We are having, this is a number, this is a number. We collect the like terms. That means this will come to the other side here. And we are going to be left with what? 1 over what? 2x less or equals to 6. When this is coming, is having what sign? Plus 4. When it's moving like this, it will be what? Minus what? Minus 4. Please, let's take note of that. And another thing that let's follow up, 1 over 2x now, less or equals to 6 minus 4. What would that be? That is 2. So what are we looking for? We are looking for x, right? So now once you are having this, you find a means to erase this type of fraction. You erase the fraction that is here. How will you erase that? You can do it in two methods. But let's what? Let's make it in a what? In a faster approach method. What would that be? Multiply this the whole expression here, multiply it by 2. Since it is 2 that is here, multiply all this thing by 2. If it is 3 that is here, multiply all this thing by 3. That will what? That will eliminate this. So let's see. These 2 settles these 2. What are we left with? We are left with 1x. Is that not it? So we have 1x less or equals to. What are we? These 2 again. Use it to multiply this. 2 times 2, that signifies what? 4. 1x is still the same thing as x, less or equals to 4. This is the final answer. Are we together? Now, the question, we have solved the what? Inequality. What are the things they will ask you once you get to this point? Now, they can ask you notation. What do I say? Notation. We have different type of notation. We have number 1, we have number line notation. And that is one. We have another one. We have inequality notation. Number 3, we have what? Interval notation. Interval what? Notation. We also have what? Set notation. Set what? Set notation. And we also have what? Now, let's make it like this. We have number line notation, inequality notation, interval notation, and what? Set notation. Know that on getting to here, if they ask you, represent it using inequality notation, this is the answer. This is what? This is signifying what? Inequality notation. That this is the type of notation that is there. Then they can ask you to furthermore. Sorry, let's go to number line notation. Meaning, all you need to do if you want to graph this using number line notation, you are going to do like this. Then signify arrow here, signify arrow here. Here should be 0. The middle point will be 0. Here will be 1. Here 2. Here 3. Here 4. Since we are having 4 here, then what follow? Here will be opposite form of this one. What will be the opposite form of 1? Minus 1. Opposite form of 2? Minus 2. Opposite form of 3 will be minus 3. Opposite form of 4 will be minus 4. This, when you are representing a set of data using this type of what? Illustration, we call it number line notation. Are we together? So now, this is a notation. But what are we having here? We are having what here? 4. Come, do not forget, here at this end point here, you put infinity minus. Since all this is signifying minus, infinity minus. What do I mean by infinity minus? Meaning minus 4, you can still have minus 5, minus 6 upward. Are we? So now here you put what? Infinity plus here. Are we together? Since all these sides are what? Are representing positive integer here. You put what? Infinity plus here. And the next thing you do, what are we having? We are having 4 here. Positive what? Positive 4. You come to the 4. Where is 4? This is 4. You have a circle like this. We are representing it using what type of notation? Number line notation. I've explained this. We are now explaining this. So this is number line notation. You come to the 4. This is 4. You come to 4 here. Positive 4. It is not minus 4. If it is minus 4, you come over here. This is positive 4. You come and you circle the top. When you circle the top, I said we have how many type of circle? We have 2. We have the open one and we have the what? Closed one. Before we commence the solving. Now, if you check, as far as you're seeing this question, what type of inequality sign is there? Less or equals to. And I told you when we are having less or equals to or greater or equals to, what type of circle are you going to be using? Closed. Meaning, what do they mean by closed? You circle the inside. You shade it. What? You shade the inside of the what? Circle. That means, since I'm having this less or equals to here, if it is greater or equals to, you come to this 4, you circle this. After you shaded this one, the next thing you do is that, now they said less. Why am I circling this? I said this 4, this is the end point. This 4 is part of the what? Part of the option. Correct answer to this inequality expression. That is what we mean. So if I'm saying 3 is there, 2 is there, 4 is also there. If it is not there, this circle will be open circle. And it is when we are having less or less than or what? Greater than. Are we together? So you come here. What do we have here? Less. So that means this less or equals to that you are seeing. Whenever they put equals to here, meaning what you get will be part of the answer. Are we together? So there might be another option so that they are also part of the answer. But that what you get will be part of the answer. The next thing, what do they say? Less than 4. Less than 4. S less than 4. Meaning all these things are S. But they must be less than 4. What is less than 4? 3 is less than 4. 2 is less than 4. 1 is less than 4. 0 is what? Less than 4. You now pick your arrow. You do like this. So since it is less that we are having here, less than 4, you will do like this. Let it be straight. So this type of notation is what we call what? Number line notation. And the next thing you do, so that means all these are part of the answer. The next thing you do, that is all about number line notation. This is a number line notation. As far as this what? Answer is concerned for this particular inequality expression. Now, are we there? So, now, this is number line notation. Now, let's come. Now, the next thing, we've picked how many already? We've picked 2 already. Number line and that of inequality notation. The next one is what? The next one is interval notation. Now, the interval notation, the next one is interval what? Interval notation is written on the board already. So, now the next one is what? Number line notation. Are we all there? Now, so Sorry, number line notation, we've picking that. Then this one too, inequality notation, I've what? I've answered that. Now let's go to interval notation. This also has rules. One thing, the topic here that is written on the board are if you follow the rules, you are good to go. So do not skip one rules there. Are we together? So interval notation is all about using the art of using brackets. The bracket might be square bracket. Let me clean this up. Can be what? Square bracket. When I say square bracket, this is a square bracket. This is a square what? Square what? Square bracket. And another thing, another bracket that we're using, we use this. We call this in English, we call it what? Parentheses. So what do we use these two brackets for? As far as interval notation is concerned. So note that when we are using this bracket signify that the roots, the endpoint of that answer is included. As we shaded this for now. So if I want to represent this now, we are going to represent this. I'm just saying it. Whenever you see them using square brackets, it's meant for what? When the endpoint is included. You need to be making use of square brackets. So if you are using parentheses, meaning the endpoint that you are having there is not included. It is not shaded. It is an open circle. And when you are using parentheses, meaning the endpoint maybe it is less than. So you make use of parentheses. When the 4, as this 4 is part of the answer, if the 4 is not part of the answer, maybe it is open circle that we use there. You make use of parentheses. That is one. Another thing you make use of parentheses for is when you are inducing infinity, negative infinity, and you are inducing positive infinity there. So it is forbidden when you are using a square bracket and you are you are inducing or introducing negative infinity here. No. And whenever you are dealing with either positive infinity or negative infinity, are we together? So you must be making use of parentheses. Whenever the answer is not included, the end result of your value of x is not included, you make use of parentheses. Whenever you are dealing with infinity, negative or positive, you make use of parentheses. But whenever your answer is included, that means your endpoint that you get for this is included, you make use of square bracket. You will see how I'm going to use that to answer this particular question. Please, is that noted? Now let's see that. Then there will be only that the only notation that remains is set notation. Now, what is our answer here? Our answer is s less or equals to 4. Now, as we are seeing this on the board, 4 is it not part of the answer? 4 is part of the answer. I told you earlier that when you are having less than or equals to, less or equals to, or greater or equals to, the endpoint like this will be included. That is why we are using a closed circle. So now if you want to represent that using interval notation, notation, all you need to do now, since 4, you start from here. This is where the arrow started from. Is that not it? This is where the arrow started from. What do we have as the endpoint of the arrow? We have negative infinity. And I told you earlier, when you are representing negative infinity, what are we going to be using? Parentheses. So you come here, you open, this is a parenthesis. You put what inside? You put negative, since the arrow is going like this. Now this is what firstly start. You don't start from here, you start from here. What do we have here? Negative infinity. Yeah, and you put a comma here. The next thing, go to this. Where is the end point of the arrow here? The end point is 4. And the 4, is it part of the answer? Yeah, it's part of the answer since it is shaded. And it is having less or equals to, greater or equals to, the 4 is included. When you are putting comma like this, you write 4, which is the end point here. And what are we going to use? Now the class, you can free and pause the video. What are we going to put here? Is it parentheses that I'm going to use to end this, or what? Square bracket. We said earlier, we mentioned earlier that whenever the endpoint is included, what are we to use? We are going to use square bracket. So the next thing, this will be this. This is interval notation. This is what? Interval notation. Negative infinity, we are dealing with negative infinity, or positive infinity, you make use of parentheses. When the endpoint is included, that means you shaded the what? The endpoint, or you're having less or equals to, greater or equals to, you make use of what? Square bracket. That is that under interval notation. So the last one, which is the set notation, before we what? We concluded the what? The class. The set notation, all you need to do, you make use of what? Curly bracket or square bracket. You make use of curly bracket. This is a curly bracket. And what are you going to put there? You put this your answer inside. That is set notation. But when you are putting that, you firstly write X. You had one S. Then you put semicolon. Then what you write, this is your answer. You write it here. S less or equals to 4. And you end it up with a curly bracket. So this is what? What type of notation is this? This is set notation. I've explained number line notation now. I've explained inequality notation. This is inequality notation. This is number line notation. This is what? Interval notation. This is set notation. Is that noted? All you need, just put S here, dot, then write the what? The answer. Are we together? The last one, they can now ask you, now we are under solving the what? The inequality. The likely question is number line. They can ask you to represent this inequality using number line. I've answered that. The interval notation, I've answered that. Set notation, I've answered that. Inequality notation. The last one that I'm going to be saying, as far as this video is concerned, is that they can ask you to represent this your answer using what? Using graph of y and x axis. Using graph of what? Y and what? X axis. Is very simple to do. Let me erase this one. Are we there? Please do not forget to what? Subscribe, like, and also what? Drop your what? Drop your whatever you notice there. Drop it down and let's what? Let's do that together. No one is fountain of knowledge. We are all what? Learning. Are we together? So now the next thing, if you have to graph this your answer, or graph this inequality notation using what? Graph using x and y axis. What should come to your mind? They are not saying this number line notation. They are saying the art of what? They can ask you to what? Freehand sketch it. They can ask you to freehand. That means you sketch it without using graph. They can ask you to use graph. The next thing you need to do, you find your graph, or no, you sketch it using hand. You put your y positive here. You put your y negative here. You put your s positive here. Here you put your what? S negative here. The next thing you need to do, what are we graphing? This is the final answer. S less or equals to 4 for this particular inequality expression. All you need to do, now let's do something here. This 1, 2, 3, 4. You can make it 4 like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can make this 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can make this 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can make it 4. Then you can put here 1, 2, 3, 4. You can put like, then what again? Here minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. What follow here? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. On the what? X-axis. Negative x-axis, we have minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. Are we out here? The next thing you need to do, now let's come here. The next thing you need to do, what are we having? S less or equals to 4. Is it negative 4 or positive 4? It is positive 4. Are we together? Comes to the x-axis, since it is s that we're dealing with. Comes to the x-axis, this is x-axis. Then we have positive 4. This is x-axis, positive x. What is our 4? Where is our 4? This is our 4. Are we together? You come to this 4. The next thing you need to do here, let me write it now. The next thing you need to do here, this is x, this is x. Positive 4, this is positive 4. The next thing you need to do, what sign are we having here? Less or what? Equals to. I've explained how many type of line. We have explained dashed line, and we've explained what? Solid line. And I told you that dashed line can also be the same thing as what? Dotted line. But as far as this is concerned, what type of inequality sign is the less or equals to? And I told you earlier that less or equals to or greater or equals to, we are to be using what? Solid line. What do they mean by solid line? This line like this. If it is dashed line, it's when we are having greater than or less than, there is not anything like equality sign. Dashed line, it is this line. You will be using this line. We call it dashed line or dotted line. So as far as this one is concerned, here what am I going to be using? I will be using solid line. You come to the 4. This is the 4, yeah, and you find your ruler, then you do. It's because I'm not with ruler. Then you what? Under this 4, you straighten your line and you do like this. So you put an arrow here. You put an arrow here. Then you can see I'm using a solid line. This line is what we call solid line now. Are we together? The next thing I need to do now is that now they said s less than 4. So that means, why am I using solid line now? I've answered that. That means 4 is part of the what? Answer. So that is why I'm using solid line. If it is dash line, 4 is not part of the what? Answer. And I told you earlier that when you're having less or equals to, greater or equals to, that means this particular endpoint is part of the answer. That is why I'm using solid line. We've explained that there under number line notation. That is why we are using shaded what? Circle. Then the next thing you need, s less than 4. Where is it, to here or to here? Are we together? That means s less than 4, like 3, 2, 1, now to here. So all this side now, they are less than 4, not to this side. Then you come, you shade this one. You come here, you do like this, 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 you do like this. So this now we have represent what? This particular answer inequality notation using the what? Using x and y axis. So this is all this now are also part of the answer. 4 is also part of the answer, and all this to here they are less than 4 according to this. Are we together? That is all about this. If you find this video very helpful, are we together? And you want more, so we want us to solve more questions on this. Are we together? Please do not forget to like, share, and also what? Subscribe to this what? Channel. So I'll give you a what? An homework on this particular topic. Let me make this what? Let me make this 3. Let me make this 3. Let me change this one. Yeah, let's leave it like this. Let's leave it like this. Try and solve this question using what? Number line what? Notation. Interval notation, set notation. So that is that under that. I still remain my humble self, AKOREDEOLUWAYINKAHASSAN, and Source Academic Online Class. So do not forget to what? To click the what? Notification button for more video.